So we thought it would be fun to go back to the beginning, then to the end. But why'd we do this? And how did it start? Like this. Nothing. But it ended up amazing. Like that. And that. So are you ready to see how we really did this? Here you go. We're going to give you that. And I hope you follow this along, and I hope you compare it to the other videos that we've already made. But this was the beginning. So we were going through some old footage and we didn't even realize we had a bunch of this. So we decided that we would go back, show you exactly how we made the very first trailer that we did. So as you can see, we took off all of the skin and took it clear down to bare metal. It's hard to believe. Then we came back in and we started putting in the foam insulation. We didn't know about spray foam at that point in time. We hadn't found our guy's Abraham, and so we did this the other way. We cut every single one of those pieces. But first we had to make sure that we got all of these purlins sealed appropriately. So we went back in and we caulked every single one of those seams so that the metal on the exterior was adhered to those so that we could have a good seal. And as you can see, we came back in and we filled in every single one of those. Every one of those had to be cut individually. We also came in and did the ceiling. And as you can see, he is working on the last few pieces. How many of you caught that he's using a kitchen knife? Yeah, he stole my kitchen knife. I soon found out in this project that was going to be one of the main problems that I had with the whole thing. I kept losing kitchen knives. But you can see that we are really cognizant of making sure that everything is covered and that the heat and cold transfer within this trailer is addressed really well. So you can see that there is cold tape over every single one of those purlins after we got the foam in. You can see it's not there. It's not on the ceiling yet. It's that silver shiny stuff. But why do we have zip ties in the ceiling? For those of you who have watched our video before, you are going to know exactly why there is zip ties all the way down the ceiling. As you can see, I'm cutting that very last little piece with my kitchen knife, nonetheless. Getting it all in. Already starting to change the look of this project. You can see the cold tape's done here. You can see the cold tape's not done on part of it. Now it's all finished. Now we're coming back in and he is running the electrical. We've soon figured out that it is a really great idea to have your trailer laid out prior to starting this step. Because when you put the electrical in, it needs to be exactly where it's supposed to go to serve the purpose that you want it to serve. So we knew we wanted a TV, we knew we wanted a fireplace, we knew we had a refrigerator and a microwave, we knew we wanted three-way switches. And so that's why all of this wire exists. And he promises me that this is going to all work. Looks like a rat's nest to me. But he has everything labeled. And I've learned to just trust him because he always makes it great. You can see the difference there. There's two different kinds of cold tape we ran out. You can also see the black. What's the black for? The black is actually covering the electrical so that it stays in place when we go to put the skin back on this particular trailer. You can see the electrical hanging out right there. You can also see along the top, there's a gap. When you use this foam board, there's a gap between the ceiling and there's a gap between the wall. And instead of trying to fill it with the foam board, we went and got some spray foam. So this was our first adventure with spray foam. I was kind of trying to do it. Yeah, I'm not great at it, but it worked. Probably not the prettiest job ever done. So we sealed in that particular line all the way around the top, making sure that we don't have any gaps. Years later, we now know that that was a great thing because this trailer could be taken and lived in 20 belows and it does great. But you can see the black covering all of the electrical. Hey, there's the fireplace outlet. And there should be a TV one at the top. Ta-da! We have a TV one. He's also put in pieces of 1x1 on the top purlins. And the reason that was done was to make sure that we had enough space to put in our puck lights, as well as to run the electrical down the center. So there you go. That's why we have the zip ties. It's his own form of a cable tray. Old electricians. All the tricks. All the tricks. But you can see how that's going to lay in there really nice. We'll actually cover that with its own separate board so that if you ever need to get in there and work on it, you can. Yep. Plain old zip tie. Works really, really well. You can see all of that coming down into the rat's nest is what I call this. And it continuously gets worse in this process until it's completely fine. But like I said, I hope someone understands this. He's written on everything. He knows exactly where everything goes. And it worked out fine. Because my curling iron works, and that went to the bathroom. You can see along the floor we had to fill in the foam there as well, making sure that all of those gaps are sealed. Years later, we know that was the great thing. We sealed up all of that around that wheel well. There's no air leaks anywhere. Even in this back corner. Oh my goodness. I made a complete mess out of that. It looks much better since I cleaned it up. But we're really glad we took this time to make sure that it was sealed properly. The entire process, when you take your time on things and do it right, the longevity of it is just so much longer. And you can see that side is sealed as well. All the way to the top. And all the way along where the sidewalls and the ceiling meet. That was covered again with the fold tape. We are ready, I think, to be able to start the ceiling, which I think he will do next. All of those purlins had that extra 1x1 put on it, and it just created a gap in there so that you could run your low voltage wire over to your lights. It also allowed for the middle to be covered with one board, so if you need to go back in, you can. And you can see the red wire there. That's all the low voltage wiring. That particular space needed to have a bunch of three-way stuff done. So there's the master. He's tired. Good day. We have gotten a lot of the plywood back on the walls. You can see there. You can see the electrical holes we drilled so that we can get the electrical through them. This will be the final exterior piece of the side. We will actually cover it with some LP siding. And see, the rat's nest is getting bigger. Promises it'll all work. You can see we put some of that back on. That bathroom area gets its own wall covering. And you can see that the LP siding has started. Isn't that cool? It's LP siding. It's 12 inch by 16 feet. And it comes primed, but I have gone back in and whitewashed it. And whitewash literally just means I took white paint and I added water to it to a consistency that I liked how it covered the wall. I wanted to make sure we could still see the wood grain on that. I thought that was really something that we wanted to make sure we did, was to create the contrast between the wood and the white, mixed for an open kind of space. And you can see that. I think it looks great. Finishes off the wall nice. And it wasn't super time consuming. Check out the floor. He literally did this floor in like an hour and a half, I think. It's just it's vinyl flooring. It's beautiful. It's worn really well. We're excited to see what all of this looks like when we get it all put together. Changes every single time you do anything in these small spaces. You can really start to see what the end product will look like. Whitewashed walls were a good idea. We've done that in several since then. Halfway done, and we have the other side. Again, the whitewashed walls. It's just paint with water to a consistency that you like. You can see how we ran all the electrical through that. Like I said, you have to have a good plan before you start. Otherwise, you don't end up with the electrical in the appropriate places, and outlets are wrong, and switches are wrong, and that just leads to a lot more work. Got some finished trim pieces around the step area there. The rat's nest continues. And like I said, the bathroom area is going to get a different wall covering. But what do we have there? Oh my goodness, we have ceiling. Okay, so that is just a plain cedar plank ceiling. It's 1/4 inch cedar. You can get it at almost any of the big box office stores. Smells incredible. Even years later when we walk into the trailer after we've been out of it a couple weeks or a couple of months, still smells so good. It has darkened over the years, but it is just a really nice finish on the ceiling, and it's worn really, really well. We put that up with some staples, if I remember correctly. So there you have it. We'll get to work on the ceiling, get that finished. So now that that's done, we're going to move on to the bathroom. And the first thing we got to do is we got to figure out how to get the base installed so we can get the walls up, and that whole process can start. He uses a system called Spyder, and with that he actually has a pre-slipped base that he uses here. You can see him cutting that to size. Yes, that was my kitchen knife again, as you can see. Yep, he likes my kitchen knives. And you can also see that we have a wall up that goes for the bathroom. Yeah, you can see that that wood is actually pre-stained because it is part of the finished product. That will actually be exposed when it's finished. Those will be shelves. You can also see the tape on the floor. We're notorious for tape on the floor to help with design, because that shower and bathroom is not laid out how we laid it out to start with. We have changed it about 10 times trying to figure out how do we get the most space in the shower and still have the appropriate space for the toilet and the small vanity. I think we did a great job. We basically laid things out and decided to try to figure out how to put a shower in what was left. Since he's such a great tiler, yeah, it didn't have to be square, thank goodness. We laid it out, and that is what we have. It's not octagon, it's not square, it's just kind of a shape. So he measured all of that out, and that is exactly what he is working on to cut right now. You can see he's got one side cut now, and he's coming to the other side of that to cut that out. So we cut out what he could cut out of that particular rectangle, and then he will fill in like a little triangle piece off of what he cut off, because it was a little bit wider than the pan that we actually got. So you can see again, he's got that measured. He's using his flat level there. And my kitchen knife, and this cuts really easily. It's foam. It also has the membrane already attached to it. It's a Curdy membrane is what they call it. So you can see him scoring it. He'll score it a couple of times just to make sure he's got a good cut to come back to. You can also see that he has a piece of cardboard on the floor, which is nice so he doesn't scratch our brand new beautiful floor. And you can see him pulling through that. I think I'm going to get a new set of knives out of this deal. Once again, And you can see him begin, it goes all the way through. Snaps. And here you go. Then he's going to take this piece and he's going to put it in the shower that we have laid out. Already pre-sloped. So how does he lay this down? He takes this particular piece and he puts it on the floor in this bathroom, and he uses Curdy Fix to do that. So that hole will line up with the hole in the pan, and that's your drain. So everything's sloped appropriately to this particular hole. And years later, we have never had any trouble with this shower pan. So I told you that there was going to have to be an extra little piece. So that extra little piece also has to be appropriately sloped because it's not part of the shower pan anymore. So what he's done is he's taken a door shim, and he figured out what kind of slope he needed to make it line up exactly. And he has come in now and he is going to Curdy Fix the floor. So for those of you who have never heard of Curdy Fix, it's basically a glue, and it's a Schluter product that he just loves. Of course, you know this is going in a trailer, so making sure that that shower pan is adhered as tightly as possible, knowing it's going to be going down the road, was something that we wanted to make sure we did. We also came back in along this floor. It was a floating laminate floor, so we came back in and we put a bunch of staples in the floor right there to make sure that that part of this trailer and that flooring did not move. We did not want it moving underneath of this particular shower pan. Wanted to make sure that it didn't leak. And years later, we must have done a good job because we've never had an issue with the shower at all. So as you can see, he is adding that Curdy Fix along that line. He's also building it up a little bit in this corner so that when he sticks down the pan and he puts that particular piece in place, the slope of it is in accordance with where the drain is, so it continuously flows. The water will flow to the center like it was designed to. And you can see him. It's kind of fun to watch him lay this down on here. Literally it just bends. And here you have it. You got a shower base. I don't know about you, but I think that's a heck of a lot easier than some of the other methods I've seen. So he sticks that down really well. You can see him making sure he's got it fitted in there well. He's moving the whole entire trailer at this point in time, making sure that he gets it good and tight in all of the corners. We will come back and seal all of those corners in a later video, but for now we're just working on this shower pan. And it's kind of funny because I'm quite sure if he ever knew we were going to use these videos in this manner, he would never be caught dead in shorts and his Crocs and his knee pads. So I think everybody should give him a little bit of crap about that. He did tell me it was time for a new pair of Crocs, so guess we need to go find some for him. You can see him putting Curdy Fix along that edge. He wants to make sure that this extra piece that he is putting in there adheres really well to the original pan. You can see him gently putting that in there. He checks the slope of it, making sure that it fit in there appropriately and it is flowing down into the drain. He is meticulous, but the end products that he creates are just crazy good. So you're probably wondering what goes along that outside edge. There you go. This is called Curdy Band. He has to fix that particular place in the shower pan to make sure that it does not leak as well. So what he's doing is he's going to measure. He's going to mark on the pan how wide the Curdy Band is, so he knows how wide to make his Curdy Fix that he used, so that you can put the Curdy Band on top. And here he goes. Kind of just outlines it. and he comes back in after he's outlined it. Just little squigglies. He wants to make sure that he fills in that seam really, really well so that you don't have any water issues. And you can see him taking his little putty knife there, and he's working that into that seam. You can see him coming across and then going back the other way. He's working it in there so that it gets sealed really, really well. Curdy-Fix is an amazing product. We've used it for years. It's not something you want to get on your fingers. It's pretty hard to get off. If you get it on something, you're going to have to clean it up right away or it will be there permanently. They've actually used a compound that's very, very similar to this to put high-end parts together, Lamborghinis, those kinds of things. So you can see him making sure that he has it wide enough. You can also see that he is bringing it clear to that tip because he knows that his curdy band's going to end up clear down there as well. He also takes his time, and I will tell you that again. If you take your time in these processes, you're going to have a better product in the end. Don't get in a hurry. Make sure it's exact. He's a perfectionist, so in products you get that same kind of quality. But if you watch him do it today versus this particular video, he did this 3 years ago. It's the same. He works the same. And you can see he's going to put his band back down, make sure he has it wide enough. He is. I'm going to see if I can get a better shot for you here. It's hard to see all of that. There you go. So you can see him start to lay that down on there. And watch what he does with his finger. Once he gets that laid down on there, you see what he did with his finger? He always starts in the middle. Whenever he is using this kind of material, he always starts in the middle. He adheres it to the middle, and then he works himself back up. This gets rid of any kind of bubbles. This also helps it lay really, really flat, and he wants to make sure that that seam is completely waterproof. And you can see him taking his time here, and he will work with that to make sure that it's nice and flat. He also wants to make sure that every single piece, every side of that has to be covered with the Curdy-Fix to make sure that this shower pan does not leak. You're probably wondering, what's he doing with the extra? So you can't see it great from this angle, but when we move it here in just a second, you can see that he kind of pushes it up the wall. And he will actually come in and he will cover the walls with the same kind of Curdy membrane that will allow for no water. Pretty wild. You've just watched him install almost the entire shower pan and how it works and how it looks and how it's waterproof. So you can see it kind of comes back up the wall right there. You can also see him bringing that all the way to the tip, because he knows that that area is a good place that can sometimes leak. So you want to make sure that you have that completely sealed with the Curdy-Fix and the Curdy band. It's good. He's getting that tip again. Got to be really careful with that. And he does a really good job of making sure that's really sealed right down there. You can see him working on that still a little bit on the side. Yep. He didn't like how it was laying, so he's going to add a little bit more on each side so you don't ever have any leaks, and it has never. You're also probably wondering what goes around the edges there. That is where you get your curb. Oh, you got it on the floor. When I say you got to get it up quick. Thank goodness. Good job, honey. That edge around the shower pan gets a curb. So he makes a custom curb that he will adhere to it, and he puts it on with this particular same kind of Curdy-Fix. And he'll put that on after this piece dries really, really well. He has to make sure that that stays right on that seam and he doesn't have any kind of pulling away as that's drying. So you'll watch him use his tape measure here He's going to make it so that it sits right up against there. Once this dries, he will come back and he will put the curbing on, and then we'll get to the tile. And there you have it. And you can see the curb right there. He's come back in and he has adhered a curb to that. That's what all the funky tile is holding it down, making sure that it sticks good to the shower pan as well as to the floor. We're pretty excited. I think the shower pan's going to look really cool in there. We're going to use some black tile in there, and that is your drain as well. The drain is really simple to use. It's inset into the shower pan, and you just tile right over the top of it. Now what's he doing? Now he's started on the wall. That particular wall gets more of the cedar that we used on the ceiling. So then you will have your ships. You're not going to be able to see out anymore. So there's a few parting shots. You can see it really starting to take shape. We have a wall into the bathroom. The wall is completely covered with cedar now. We have a shower pan. Things are changing. Things are changing. But it looks good. I hope you guys are enjoying this. If you like this, give us a thumbs up. Join us on this journey. We're going to let you see this entire build. It was fun. Yes, it took place several years ago. That doesn't mean that what was created wasn't cool. It's still very cool. We love this trailer. We've had several people ask us, what's it look like underneath what you created? This is what it looks like underneath of what we created. So as you see this last shot, looks good. We're on our way. Stay tuned. I'll try to get another video out of the next set of processes as soon as I can.